If you want to talk about Gundam with someone, that's fine. But lest you run into a cultist, don't ever bring up Kira Yamato or Mikami Riku. You will never hear the end of it if you have an opposing opinion. What is going on, guys? MJ2005 Gundam here, and today I'm going to be reviewing the high-grade Gundam 00 Sky Mobius from Gundam Build Divers Re-Rise. Now before I begin, I'm not going to cover any of the common features between this kit and the original, so if you want a more detailed look at this kit, please check out the link up above. But viewers' discretion is advised, because that's not the best review that I've done at the time. But anyways, let's get on with the 00 Sky Mobius. So colors, on the surface they do look accurate, but a lot of people are not too big of a fan of the cream color. But to me, this just adds another layer of white on top of the base color. That is this pure white right here. So the entire color scheme does allow the 00 Sky to look more refreshing, in my opinion. More like vanilla fresh, if you do get what I mean. So overall, I think the color scheme does work on the 00 Sky. Second of all, stickers. This kit does have amazing color separation because all the stickers that you see are basically the eyes, the front and the back of the head, the black on the chest right here, and the knees, the sensors on the knees. So this thing does not have too many stickers, and a lot of them can be omitted if you just went ahead and painted it with a metallic green Gundam marker. So color separation is fantastic, and this thing has a lot of light colors, so nut marks are not going to be obvious at all, especially if you sand them down. Now, differences between the 00 Sky Mobius and the original only involve the V-fin, the weapons on the back of the binders, the enlarged bracers on the arms and the legs, and the toes. So, of course, the scar has been kept underneath the green piece, so you guys do not need to worry about whether or not it's there. Structure-wise, this thing is a massive improvement when compared to the original 00 Sky. Because, first of all, the flaps on the backpack, they do not just go after messing around with it for a few times. So that's a massive improvement. The backpack itself is plugged onto the back very securely. So securely, in fact, that I struggle to put it into the lash position. So that's a massive improvement if you want to display it in the default form. The wrists over here depends on the polycaps that you have been given, but on my particular copy, they are staying in very well, and they can hold up pretty much all the weapons that this kit comes with. And the backpack weapons over here, they do not just fall right off, they actually click into the pegs on the drives, so you're not going to experience any falling weapons anytime soon. And of course the toes, they don't just separate immediately after put them into the lash position. So that is definitely a massive improvement. However, the front skirts are the problem. I separated all the front skirts on all of my recent high grades, and this thing still has the problem of prying open the holes and allowing the front skirts to fall right off. So if you're building the 00 Sky or any variants that you have bought of this kit, definitely do not separate the front skirts if you want a stable build. But overall, this thing is a massive improvement structure-wise, and an improvement in just about all aspects when compared to the original 00 Sky. Apart from the articulation anyways, because that remains the same. So let's get straight to the accessories. The stand is not included, by the way, but what is included is, first of all, this open hand right here. So yeah, Bandai generously left the open hand over from the 00 Gundam so you can use it to your own liking. Next up, we talk about the beam sabers, and I absolutely hated these things in the 00 Sky, and I still hate them now. First of all, why did they decide to use SP6 beams instead of using the SP13 beams? I will have no idea, because they can use the SP13 beams perfectly. Second of all, you do need to take off one piece of the front skirt, which is going to be a little bit of a hassle if you split the front skirts like I did. Plug the piece onto the beam saber, give it the beam, and put it into the 00's hand. Now, even if I jam the front skirt piece into the hand, it's still relatively easy to just tug it right out. So I'm gonna leave these things off and never use it again. Next up, let's talk about the beam rifles over here. They do look very similar when compared to the original, but they do have more mechanics, which results in these hideous pegs and holes. But they do not have the support handle on the front, so that's one difference. But in spite of that, these things do have more features. For example, the combining feature, when you plug the holes and the pegs on the sides together for the storage. If you can get out of the way of the armed wing binders, there you have it. The rifles are stored, which is pretty good in my opinion, stacking rifles just to store them. But no, you cannot do the wing zero pose with the rifles stacked, just because the hand actually covers up the entire gap between the handles, so you cannot fit another hand in there. You may be able to force it, but I'm not gonna do it to mine. But you can actually hold this as a double rifle if you so fancy. So have two of these, hold two double rifles if you are that crazy. And they do have metallic green stickers for the scopes, which are really stuck in there. Next up, we do have the Sky Bracer and the Sky Leg Guards. So the Sky arm braces do actually have the feature from the old 00 Sky, in which it just shifts forward to do some melee attacks. No moving fingers, however, but that is to be expected. Now, Bandai actually thankfully included the effect parts of the Higher Than Sky phase, but this time in a very gloriously glittery green. So these things do look beautiful in my opinion, and you can easily plug them onto the only hole that is in the bracers on the arms to add as a shield, or in the legs, so that you can deflect some beams or fire some of your own. These effect parts do look pretty nice in my opinion. And next up, let's talk about the Mobius drive units, because Bandai, with the bracer effect parts, they also included the wing effect parts, which are, I really cannot put this into words because they look glamorous, they look beautiful, they are stunning. I am enthralled by how great these things look. They attach on the same way as the original 00 Sky. So you just open up the wings, plug the pegs into the holes provided. But you do need to get out of the way of the armed wing binders on the back. And now you have the wings activated, which look amazing. And it only makes sense to have the rings around them just because this is the Mobius, the infinite loop. Last but not least, we do have the armed wing binders on the back. So even on the back, they can do quite a bit. So you flip the top piece down and flip the bottom piece up. Thankfully, we do not need to use the hinges on the backpack. And all of a sudden, you will have the beam spam mode. So yeah, for those of you who like this type of fight style, here you have it, the 00 Sky Mobius provided. But what I would like to do is to take one of these off and then flip the blue piece up and collapse it into the gap over here. Now you have a handle over here that you need to tug out by using your fingernail, and it's a little bit tough at first, but if you did it multiple times, then it will be easier. So if you just plug it right back in here, you will have the Mobius beam cannons. So these are basically a shrunken version of the gigantic gun that should be on the back of the Destiny. They do look a little awkward as rifles, but what they don't look awkward as are the Mobius Arondites. So you basically unplug this piece, make sure the indent is facing downwards, and then replug it into the storage position. It will stop midway, and then you bring in these effect parts right here. So you just plug them right in, and here you have the Mobius Arondite. Shrunken versions are way more practical because the 00 can hold them up and hold them securely in the hand, but that doesn't take away from the fact that these things do look amazing. However, these things cannot be used with the rifles, as I shall demonstrate now, because the rifle hole is up here. So you cannot get the rifle in any way, shape, or form to fit into this hole, not until you remove the beam effect and then rotate it, the blue piece 180 degrees, and you retract the handle and you plug them on to the gun, just like so. And the beam doesn't necessarily work like that. So yeah, you cannot really create a beam bayonet with the armed wing binders, but you can actually enhance the power of the beam rifle rather awkwardly, I might say. Yeah, it's a feature. And last but not least, you do still have the lash position. So what you want to do is to rotate these things out of the way, not open them up this time. And then you just disconnect the backpack from the back and the backpack. Rotate these things back in to the position they were supposed to be in. Flip the heel and toe down, flip the white piece down, and drop the leg guards. Bring in one of the effect parts if you so fancy. So here we have the lash position of the 00 Sky Mobius. It still exists. Unfortunately, we never really got to see it in the anime whatsoever. So that's gonna be all the accessories and gimmicks of the 00 Sky Mobius. I'm dedicating this section of the review to answer one question that you guys have. Does it work with the heavy weapon system? Now, the backpack evidently does work, so you just open up this hole right here, and I'm gonna plug in my painted version of the heavy weapons onto the back. You may recognize this from Gundam Ares, but I do not have another set that's in the vanilla color, so I apologize. So here we have the backpack that works. However, the missile pods do not work the way you think they would, because you have one hole that is smaller than a 3mm hole, so evidently if you want to plug the other side onto it, it will never work. So for the missile pods on the legs, you can plug them on if you have the double holes facing the bottom. So you just plug it onto the bracer, and here you have it. But the arms, I cannot think of a way to plug them on that doesn't require any modification. Yeah, you can still plug them on, but you will have to shave away the top two pegs. So if you want the best of the effects, you either have to take out those pegs, or just straight up use the old bracers that are included in this kit, which allows me to segue into the next section, the leftover parts. So first of all, we do have the A plates over here. All of the body parts and the condensers of the 00 are in clear, so if you want to use them for a painting project, let your mind roam free. Second of all, we do have the B plates over here with the old bracers and the old toes. And then we do have the D plates over here with the full weapons from the 00 Sky. So if you want to revert it back to the old arsenal, you can definitely do so. Not me though. Last but not least, we do have the H plate with an extra V-fin. So if this one that is currently on is broken, you have replacement parts. With all of these parts at hand, you can absolutely revert the 00 Sky Mobius back into the 00 Sky. Apart from the color scheme, that is. For comparisons, first of all, I will have to bring in the Gundam Bale. Just because somebody said the color schemes are pretty similar, so let's pitch them together. And to be honest with you guys, I am totally agreeing with that statement. Next up, we'll bring in the original 00 Sky. Now, the Higher Than Sky phase has been stripped for parts, so I still have the original here, so here's the comparison. Which one do you like better? And we bring in the champion, the Tri-Age Magnum, and then the Jupitive Gundam 2. These two do look pretty good together. And then finally, the Lord Astray Double Rebake. So let's get to wrap it up for the 00 Sky Mobius review. Now, I'm gonna get the cons out of the way first, mainly the inability to use the arm wing binders as bayonets for the beam rifles, and the fact that the Sky bracers do cause me a little bit of frustration because they are not as tight as I hoped them to be after I messed around with them in the review. But the pros are, I do like the colors, they do fit my tastes really well. I do like the amount of gimmicks that are packed into this one kit, and the fact that this is more structurally sound than the original, apart from the fact that I mentioned the Sky bracers are pretty loose after I mess around with them for a bit. So overall, I'm going to give this thing a 7.5 out of 10. So I would recommend this kit over all of the other variants of the 00 Sky, just because you do get all of the parts to revert this thing back to the 00 Sky, albeit in the Mobius color scheme. So that's gonna wrap it up for me. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you did like it, please be sure to drop a like, comment, and also subscribe for more Gunpla reviews, Gunpla news, and all that kind of stuff. Subscribe to the featured channels on my channel page if you haven't, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.